All right. So hello everyone. Welcome to the internship panel with five amazing interns over the summer. They're also amazing people. So definitely, I want to start with a round of applause for them for showing up. And also, some of these are last minute, so last minute additions. So thank you for showing up last minute. So first things first. So membership. So if you aren't already an ACM member, please sign up. It's completely free. If you are a member, it is all you have to do is go to 7 meetings or participate in 7 kind of like participation kind of events. So be sure to follow our Instagram and check our Discord. Instagram is just ACM UTSA on everything, as well. The Discord is just discord.acmutsa.org. That's all you have to remember. But yes, we get free swag, free t-shirt if you qualify to be a member. With that as well, I'll leave it up for probably another 20 seconds if you haven't already signed up. As well, you also get an invitation to our upcoming spring celebration networking event. That's going to be a big banquet. We usually invite a lot of our sponsors to come out and kind of sometimes recruit there. They definitely recruit there sometimes. But yes, so connect with us. I said everything ACM UTSA and everything. If you're not sure what it is, ACM UTSA. Opportunities. So Valero Career Day is happening here at UTSA September 28th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the business building. It's I believe it's 20604, which I believe is like one of the back rooms. I'm sure they're gonna have plenty of signage so you know where it's at. Scan the QR code to RSVP. It's not required, but it definitely helps you to remember. With that as well, Google is also visiting UTSA Thursday, the 29th. So not this Thursday, next Thursday. They're going to host a kind of meet the Google software engineers and meet kind of some Google people. As well, they're also hosting a resume workshop. So definitely a good opportunity if you want Google to see your resume. That'll be in the BSE room 2102. And then other opportunities to look out for. So October 3rd, the NSA is coming to do another resume review. So there's lots of resume reviews right now. NSA is going to come do a resume review. There's going to be free pizza and free drinks there. So definitely recommend y'all if you like free stuff to go. That'll be in the North Paseo building on 5140. So the top floor of the MPB. And other thing, organizers. We're looking for Rowdy Hacks organizers. Some of y'all may have gone to Rowdy Hacks last year. We're looking for organizers to put that on this year. Definitely a good opportunity. And as our interns may talk about, getting involved on campus is a really, really, really good opportunity to kind of make yourself stand out. So definitely recommend, if you're interested, to join the team. And then other upcoming event, there's lots of events upcoming. I'm sorry. The good opportunity to get involved. But Taste of Success. So the College of Science is bringing a former computer science alumni who's now a software engineer in the field. Lots of experience, definitely wants to help everyone out. It's going to be right after this meeting in the BSB Loeffler room. It's the best way I can describe it. It's right behind the engineering building. There's going to be free food there, as well as a raffle for some free swag. So definitely recommend you all go out for that one as well. Parker knows where it's at, so just follow Parker after the event. It also counts as membership credit for ACM. Then other things, we have movie night social that is happening this Friday, 6 o'clock in the room that Parker might take y'all to. So definitely recommend everyone come out. We're gonna have some food, just a nice time to kind of socialize and watch some Scott Pilgrim. Other thing too, Intro to Tech game design. That's gonna be Monday. That's going to be Monday, 1 o'clock in the Travis room. So that's going to be across from the Student Union in the HSU. We're having the person that did our Rowdy Hacks game design workshop come out and kind of do like intro to Unity. So you don't have to have any previous experience. We do recommend you probably download Unity beforehand, but other than that, no previous experience needed. Then ACM-W next week, Thursday, September 29th. 4 to 5 p.m. They're having Dell come out and talk about kind of opportunities here what opportunities that Dell is offering So definitely be on the lookout on Discord for more information on that. And then Code Quantum, if you haven't already, if you haven't already applied for Code Quantum and you're a marginalized gender in tech, you're missing out. I recommend definitely getting involved, especially for a hackathon. Also a good opportunity to stand out. But registrations are open. It's happening November 5th. It's an overnight event. You don't have to stay there overnight. You're not like forced to be there. But it's definitely a good opportunity. QR code's there if you want to scan it. And then here's sign in for today's meeting. If you want to sign in right now, and then have. Yeah, heck, you can.
Hey guys, well, first of all, let's give a shout out to Elijah for all these great events that you guys have happening, right? Yeah, so I mean, just to emphasis on that, like if you trying to meet people, get career, advancing your career, this is a perfect opportunity. Sign up for those. Go to at least one. That's how you get ahead. But I just wanted to take a minute to talk about a new organization we're going to start here at UTSA. It's going to be the Google Developer Student Club. So that's an organization sponsored by Google. They have chapters nationwide, well, actually throughout the world. And UTSA is going to be getting their first chapter this semester here at UTSA. So that's something we're all very excited. We're very excited about. We're trying to, let students know about these opportunities. And we're actually going to have our first event next Wednesday. It's going to be on September 28th. It's going to be up next door, actually, at the Willow at 1 p.m. Can I pull up the website quick on the browser? Yes. Yes. It's GDSC, UTSA. SC, UTSA.
There's no space. For hyphen?
Yeah, so that's if you want to RSVP to the event, definitely go ahead and sign up. Again, we're gonna be doing that event. We're gonna have a speaker from Google. So if you're not able to attend the interview workshop that's next Thursday, Wednesday, we're gonna have a speaker there as well. And we're actually gonna have some interns that you guys can talk to. Again, I mean, I remember when I was trying to get my internship, I was scared of the interview process, how to apply, who do I talk to, recruiting, all that stuff. So, for those questions you have, come over, ask your questions, and we're gonna have some little giveaways too. So hope you guys can make it, and make sure to RSVP there, gdscutsa.com. And again, shout out to Elijah for putting all these great events together, and take advantage of these guys. This is all for you guys. So yeah, y'all have fun with the internship panel.
Thank you so much. So let me share my screen again. Oh, it's already shared. Sorry. Over. Okay. So again, check in if you haven't already checked in. So intern panel. So kind of introduction what it is. So I have some questions prepared for the interns that I will ask initially. Then we'll open questions to the floor, kind of throughout the questions. And then as well, you can raise your hand in the room if you have a question during open floor time, or if you're online, just post it in chat and we can have someone read it out. So I want to introduce our panelists. I'll have them introduce themselves. So it's just what I say, name, major. I should have it up and the questions up. I don't remember. So name, major, classification, company you worked for, and your position. So I can have Parker start.
Yeah, run that.
Name, major, classification, so junior, senior, sophomore, company, and position.
Hi, I'm Parker Leathers. I'm a computer science major here at UTSA. I'm a sophomore, and I worked at the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory over the summer as a software engineer intern.
Hi, my name is Loket Tulu. I am a computer science major. I am a senior right now, set to graduate in December. I worked as a data science intern at WellMed.
My name is Isabel Molinas. I am a senior computer science major, and I was a software engineering intern for Best Buy over the summer. Howdy, everybody. Well, I mean, yeah, why not?
Howdy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Supamti Soyampudi. I am a current junior at UTSA, a computer science major,
and I interned at Booz Allen Hamilton as a consultant / a red team intern for the past couple of summers.
Hello, my name is Michael Martini. I'm a cybersecurity major with a digital forensics minor. I'm currently a junior, and I worked at MITRE over the summer as a cyber futures intern.
Thank you so much. So I guess first question in terms of kind of your internships and stuff. The first question I do want to ask, and this kind of applies to everything. Some people don't know where to apply for internships, don't know where to find them. I want to ask each one of y'all, where did you find your internship?
So I actually found my internship on Handshake. If you haven't signed up for Handshake, I definitely recommend doing that. A recruiter from the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab actually reached out to me, and they reach out to a lot of, or to pretty much every STEM major at UTSA. It's not like it's like, oh, you have to be on some secret list. No, and that's how I found that. I applied through that, and I got my interview, and I got my offer from there.
So a recruiter reached out to me on Handshake also. Handshake is beautiful. Sign up if you haven't. And they told me that they're going to be at the career fair, which is going on today also. And that one was virtual at the time. And so when I met with him, he kind of already knew who I was because I communicated with him. And then he was like, oh, I think you'd be perfect for this position based on your resume. Also have a good resume. Go to the resume workshop. And basically that's how he pushed my resume to the people that hired me.
So I was actually a cashier at Best Buy for a couple of months at one point, and while I was looking for internships, I was looking on Handshake and Indeed a lot, but I actually had ended up just looking, like typing in on Google, like Best Buy internships, just to see if Best Buy had any. And I did that with a lot of companies where I would just type in a company I was interested in and just looked that way. And I just applied through their website. They got back to me pretty quickly, I believe.
Hey guys. So interestingly enough, my internship kind of found me in a weird way. So I was super active in Cyber Patriots in high school. For those of you who are not familiar with that, that is a competition in like blue teaming. So what that means is you're like securing operating systems that they give you. It's a national competition. I was a finalist my senior year of high school. Woo! And then COVID was like, you're not going to nationals. So yeah, it kind of sucked. But before that happened, I went to one of the events called the Mayor's Cup. And there, Booz Allen Hamilton had a recruiter, and they were like, you're a national finalist. We want you. And I was like, sure, man. I'm just going into college. Like, I have nothing better to do, to be honest. And then COVID kind of ate that first year for internships. That was pretty bad. But after that, and some like restructuring, it became like a lot better. But I would just say like get involved in competitions. You really never know like who you'll meet, what will come out of that, because that same recruiter actually helped me find a lab position, and like I haven't gone back ever since, So just don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
Hello. There was a cyber career fair that was on Rowdy Link, and I don't think I had anything else to do that day, so I went to apply to one of the companies, MITRE. I went to the interview. I basically showed my enthusiasm to work there for the summer. They directed me to their website, which is like a MITRE Careers, and that's how I applied.
So next, yeah, like a handshake, of course, very important. Definitely, career fair is also very important. So I definitely push people to, like I said, the Valero Career Day, as well. The career fair is going on right now. So if you want to go after this meeting, you definitely can. With that as well, as lots of people don't have experience, especially underclassmen, no experience in the field, and they're kind of sending their resumes out to different companies. How do you stand out as a person with no experience or underclassmen? Maybe you just like haven't had any technical experience. How do you stand out on your resume? How do you stand out to recruiters?
I would say there's a few ways. Obviously, the first thing you want to do is get some experience, right? Do some projects. They don't have to be, one thing I like never realized was that stuff like class projects can count. All kinds of projects, especially in CS, are really, really helpful. But another really big thing is just getting his involvement right. So getting involved in things like Rowdy Hacks and of course ACM are some great ways to stand out on your resume. Yeah.
Yeah, more on what he said. For me, I did like research prior to my internship, which was kind of like educational also. So it kind of helped me in my field, which was data science. And also personality goes a long way. If they like you as a person, they're gonna want to like see you again. Like if you're not really personable or at least like somewhat extroverted enough, like I'm an introvert, but I had to fake it and like be like, oh hi, how you doing? Yeah, if you do that and you're very much personable, they're gonna very much like you and hire you. Or give you a chance at least. So
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, was just being very personable. Even in your resume, when you're writing down like details about projects that you've done or jobs that you've had, I think just finding a way to make the details of that project sound like you're passionate, anything that just can come off as you seem invested in what you're doing. But also definitely being like personable with recruiters or interviewers, because that takes you so far. Just being like having a personality, like she said, forcing yourself to be extroverted, that takes you a long way.
My number one recommendation for like trying to get into a field and like when you have no experience is passion. Like you have professors, reach out to them. Typically, if you go on the website, look at their faculty stuff, what research they're involved in, you might be like, oh, like serious gaming. That kind of sounds really cool. Go and talk to them. One thing professors love to do is talk about their research. Like you don't really have to ask them any other questions. Be like, tell me more about your research. They'll go on for hours. It's great. And that's like a great way to network and kind of like ask them more about how they came into that career field, what experience they got into, because they're professionals and they're there to help you. So take advantage of them. That's like definitely a great way to get like a one-on-one with your professors. As I said, like my lab mentor, my PI, like he was the recruiter for my internship, so that's kind of like really helpful with making that personal connection. And passion definitely goes like such a long way. If you're just droning on, like that's kind of boring, like don't be boring. You're not boring.
Yeah, so like I said before, hackathons are the way to go. You meet a lot of like-minded people as well as recruiters there, and from there you can see like, oh, this sector of building stuff that interests me. Maybe I want to do a cyber project because that I'm interested in. Just like experiment and try new things. Definitely, I wouldn't say like jump off the deep end to learn how to swim, but I think it's definitely worth trying out, because how I got experience on saying like as a cybersecurity major, there's this cool website called Hack the Box, and one of the beginner boxes, even though they're beginner, it's not beginner, but I did it anyway, and I spent hours of previous summers just like Googling, okay, what is this tool? What is that tool? How do I look into a file? Just stuff like that, and that allowed me to say like, oh yeah, I tinkered with Hack the Box. It's just like I only did like beginner boxes. So yeah, fake it till you make it.
But be genuine, don't lie.
Great. Yes, of course. Definitely getting involved. Good opportunity. That's I bumped it. Whatever. If you got in late, here's the sign in. Last question before I open it to the floor. So what was your day-to-day like for your internship? I know everyone's probably had a different day-to-day, especially if you're doing cyber versus software engineering, but how was your day-to-day? What did you do like on like your first Monday of the week or your Friday? What'd you do?
So I can say definitely, a lot of stuff you'll hear about internships, like, taking coffee to people. Not almost everything, almost all internships, at least especially in CS, not like that. Every day I was doing like software engineering, so I was working on like Java and programming. But one of the other things I got to do a lot was like work with my mentor and work with my team, get involved in a lot of like discussions about the project, and So if I ran into an issue, it wasn't always like, sometimes I'd be solving it myself. Sometimes I'd need help, but a lot of times it was I would be working like with someone else, with my mentor or with someone else to collaborate on that problem. And that's one of the most fun things that you'll ever do in an internship. But other than that, yeah, just programming, getting involved in a lot of stuff that my internship offered, cool like competitions and workshops and stuff like that. But every day it was just a lot of fun. I definitely recommend getting an internship.
Mine was in person. It was kind of like a hybrid where 3 times a week I went in person, and then the other 2 I did online, which was kind of like, I liked it at first. It was like, oh yeah, I got to dress up and go in person. And at a point, it just kind of got like exhausting. But it was still kind of fun to see, like, I had like my own cubicle, and my team lead was right next to me. A majority of my team was actually online. So it was just 3 of us in office, and it was kind of weird at first because office life, you're supposed to socialize with other people, get to know them. It was kind of like I could only socialize with the people I saw. So it was a little bit off at that point, but as like the months went by, it was actually really interesting. My manager actually he kind of just created like a project and then threw it at me, and he was like, figure it out. Like, I was the only one coding in Python, like at my on my team, the data science team. Everyone else coded in C. So it was a little bit off for me also, because like I was like, dang, who can I ask questions to? Like, they all do C, I do Python. But it's really fun because like I got to teach them a little bit of stuff like AI, and they also kind of taught me a little bit of things. It was a good balance. Also, they flew us out to Minnesota like for an intern trip. So it was actually really nice. They paid for our food, hotel, our flight. And I got to socialize with like the people that also worked there and those who were like also not data science interns. Some of them were in sales and some of them were in consulting. So it was overall like a good experience. You just have to pick the right one. So yeah.
So my internship was completely remote. It was supposed to be a hybrid, and then it got moved to completely online. So my days would start, I wake up, I have to log into my computer. I would have a stand-up, which those were typically every day, where we would just talk about the work that had gotten done previously. And because it was remote, there were lots of meetings that we did with our like employee resource groups or different developmental meetings besides the obvious meetings that I have with my team. But then in the in-between time where I didn't have meetings, my manager had actually tasked me with teaching him React in the entirety, and also JavaScript. So I was spending a lot of time studying what he wanted me to teach him, because he had very specific ways that he wanted it taught. But yeah, so it was a lot of going to these meetings and doing the obvious developmental things, but then also teaching myself and learning the code bases and understanding what actually my team was doing for what they handle, I guess. So at Booz Allen Hamilton, I think company culture is something that is really important to me personally. The first day we were all like super dressed up. So like my internship, for myself specifically, they allowed us to choose whether or not we want to come to the office and work or do remote work. So the first day we were like all snazzy, and then I was like, do I have to do this every day? And they're like, oh, actually no, like you're fine. So that was really nice. And it's really important to like communicate with your peers, kind of just like talk to your managers, get to know those people, because people in the real world are like more than just their jobs, and you'll want to kind of like the people you work with. Otherwise that'll kind of suck going to work. But my day-to-day life was, first week I went in person, and then there was like a spike in COVID, so they asked us to do some remote work or like come to the office and wear masks. And I kind of was like, man, I want some extra sleep because driving sucks. So I would log in, there would be morning scrum with my team, updates on projects and everything. And I did a lot of consulting work and technical writing, but I also helped like develop training materials, and everything. So I got access to like tools that I had never used before. So some background, like I have mainly done like blue team work. So I've defended, not like attacked. And this was all red teaming stuff. So I had to learn all of that. But I think Booz Allen Hamilton is really nice because they kind of like develop you a little bit more. They provide a lot of trainings
and like we get Udemy, like all of those courses for free. So I was like just grinding through all of that. Internships, like they know that you're coming in with like little to no experience. So they know that you will work your ass off because you're like, oh, am I allowed to say that? Yeah, okay. Sorry, I don't know.
We're all college. We're all college people here.
Okay,
It's fine.
cool. It's like sometimes I don't know if that's one person's gonna be like, how dare you, you know? But they know that you're gonna work hard. So as long as you work hard, then they have no issue with you. And like take constructive criticism as like don't be butthurt by it. Because I used to be butthurt by it, but that did not help me learn. So after I got over that, you know, like you definitely grow a lot. So that's my whole spiel.
So over at MITRE, it's a research and development company. So a lot of our work was based on research. For the first couple of weeks for the internship, we were actually just getting prepped to understand cybersecurity because some people, even though it was a cybersecurity internship, there's a couple people that did not like have a major in cybersecurity. Like one of my friends that I made over there, he was a political science major with a minor in psychology, but he was a really fast learner, and yeah, he managed to basically be on par with us with the project that we were given. So like at the fourth week, we were given our project, and my project personally was basically just open source research on a certain topic. And we would meet up with my team like 3 days of the 5 days. You can go hybrid and in person, didn't really matter. Well, yeah, they wanted people to be in person with free food and stuff, so that was a big plus. Yeah, 3 times a week we would meet up, talk about the project, work on it, study the material. You could schedule meetings with employees. It's like really simple to do that over at MITRE, and people are really helpful and willing to teach you about stuff if you have no knowledge in it. By like the last couple of weeks, we presented it to our sponsors because our projects were sponsored by certain companies or MITRE itself. And then we presented to all the other interns what we've done over the summer.
Great. Thank you all so much. So now I'm going to open some questions up to the floor. So if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand. We don't have a microphone to give out, so I'll just repeat the question after you ask it, just so people online can hear. As well, if you're online, please ask questions in chat, but I'll open the floor out to any questions. So for online question was, they mentioned talking about kind of standing out in your resume and projects. So how did you come up with these projects? How do you come up with these projects as like something relevant to kind of whatever you're working on or kind of standing out? Is there a resource library? But just generally, how did you come up with the projects that you used? Yeah.
Awesome. So one of the things that was funny about it is I actually realized I'd actually done like a lot of the almost all the projects on my resume were projects I'd already done just from high school, right? Just stuff that I'd find, stuff that I would kind of look into. Some of it was just random. I think I made like a web scraping tool to look at my school's calendar and tell me when the bell was going to ring, right? And then, but some other stuff was a little more guided, right? So I took on something called Project Euler, which is like kind of like a mathematical leet code sort of thing. You can also just Google computer science projects to put on a resume, right? Stuff like that. You can do that. And again, class projects. I know applications programming has like a team project. I just started the class, so I don't know too much about it yet. I'm just starting it, but a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, will put that on the resume. So stuff like that. I put a few class projects on my resume. All sorts of things, as long as you gain something from it. it's probably something good that you can put on a resume.
I was gonna say, anyone else have any?
Can I switch? Okay. Okay. Sorry. Since I didn't really come in with like a CS kind of mindset, I came in not knowing anything about CS. A lot of the stuff I put down were stuff I learned. For example, in software engineering, the class I took, we created like a whole a website, and so I kind of put that down. The GitHub, I linked that in with my resume. Also, I kind of just went online on YouTube. There's a lot of projects you can find. I know one of them I saw she used like the liked videos she had on YouTube, then she like linked it with her Spotify account so that it automatically just adds it to her playlist. And I thought that was really cool. So I kind of went out of my way to kind of learn that a little bit. So just little things like that. You don't have to make it like a grand project or something. It could just be something you're interested in. And yeah.
Yeah, I would also say just finding something that you're interested in, because my first project that was on my resume was just a website that I had made for my club that I had made in high school. And it was like, I made it when I was 14, and I never even had something to show to anybody who asked me about it on my resume. But that was what I put down. That was my first thing on my resume as a project. And now what I have on there, they're both projects from classes. So I have an engineering project I made in my AIS class my freshman year on my resume, and I have my website from the software engineering course as well on my resume. So just using the projects that you make in class can completely be utilized as projects on your resume.
Honestly, if you have something where you're like, man, that kind of sounds cool, and you do more research and you do like a really basic project, like you can definitely try to put that skill on like your GitHub and then talk about it in like an interview, because they're looking for skills that you're willing to share with them and that they're, talking about. So like application programming, would I talk about my project? I mean, I have with one of my mentors, and let me tell you, he was like, oh, what the heck? So in case anyone's curious, my project was called Grinding for Beans, and it was basically, actually, I don't even know if I'm going to talk about this. It's so funny. But it's like a dinosaur dating sim that we decided to make. And like, man, we presented to Dr. Long. He was my application programming teacher. I love that man to death. And he was like, very interesting. Yes. Cool. But like you have all of that on your GitHub, like all of those files that you've made. And let me tell you, that was a lot of work, but it was so fun and it was so silly and so great. So honestly, even if it's like a little wacky, like at least they'll remember you, like in a good way, because you put all that hard work towards something you're passionate about.
So what I would call my project, it was more of a solution to a problem that I had. So there's this cool like cyber competition coming out called National Cyber League, and it's very beginner friendly. You can start from anywhere. They give you like a gymnasium to help yourself learn certain topics in cybersecurity. One of the problems that I was going through was we were trying to find the solution to a certain hash, and it was like it had like certain numbers in front of it that made the hash difficult to crack just based on a certain algorithm. I hope I'm not losing anyone. But essentially, I didn't know that there was a program out there that could already do this. It's called John the Ripper. And I didn't know that, but I knew how to code, like very little. So what I did, I basically got the list of words that they used. I added like a bunch of numbers in front of it, and I basically told it to brute force it until it found the exact hash. So that's how I got my project. I was trying to find a solution to this problem that I didn't know had a simpler solution, but I created one brute force wise. And just, add those to, if you find a problem that you have and you found a solution to it, something that you created, that's something you can add as a project.
Shameless plug. ICPC does a bunch of good interview prep on the weekends, and they use like Caddis and stuff that has like programming questions. So if you're not that confident in your ability, you don't know where to start, I would say that's like a great way to start. Go to those meetings, at least like try Caddis, you never know if you'll have fun or if you're just like, wait, this kind of sucks, you know?
Parker, do you want to say when ICPC
It's
is?
Sundays from 11 to 2. Free donuts.
You don't have to stay there the whole time. That's 3 hours. You don't have to stay there the whole 3 hours. You can show up late, show up a little bit earlier, and leave later. But definitely recommend ICPC,
Join the ICPC Discord. It's in the resources channel.
resource channel on Discord. Yeah. Other questions? Question was, how do you keep in contact with connections you made in your internship, and then what are next steps after your internship is over? Anyone can go.
Okay, so as an employee at MITRE, they talked about a possibility of PTOC, which is like called part-time on call. So that essentially means like if you're a good enough worker and you reached out to a lot of people, they basically kind of like save you a little spot at the company, and they'll be like, yeah, you're a really good worker. You're going to be working here, but you're not going to get any work. But like that's one of the statuses. The other one is like you're getting work while you're doing school. And the other one, you just choose not to do PTOC. So I didn't reach out a lot to get to PTOC. So it kind of sucked. But I did know a lot of people because you can, at MITRE, people are open. So I talked to a lot of people and made a lot of connections there that allowed me to, get a better advantage to getting another internship next summer. So I talked to a couple people at the career fair that happened last week. And I referenced one of my previous supervisors to them. And I'm hoping from what I cannot see that a connection is there and just like, oh yeah, we can hire him back again for the next summer. So yeah, talk to other people from the company, ask if there's any other internship opportunities out there, and hope you can get one.
For me, basically like my internship is like a 4-year summer internship. They did offer for us to like take advantage of that during the semester, but I think like my priority is really being a student, to be honest. And I don't want my grades to slip, especially because like I have a contract because I'm a scholarship person. So I can't let my GPA falter for the money. And I'm like very fortunate to have that. So I know the opportunity can be used towards like other people. But I will say like, ask if you do have an internship over the summer, if they'd be willing to like take you part-time, because 9 times out of 10, like you've done such good work that they'll ask you, and even if like they don't, like, you can still ask them. Like honestly, the worst thing that they could say is no, or they could just try to like develop you or help you or give you constructive criticism. The 1 time out of 10 is basically like you're like, this internship's not for me. So
So I let's see, there's like a lot to that question. So I was extended a return offer from Best Buy since I am a senior, but they also had a lot to talk. They talked a lot about having extended internships as well, and those were all like, this was all conversations that didn't happen until the last 2 weeks of the internship, as well as some people that was like a conversation that wouldn't happen until much later. But as far as keeping in contact with my managers and such, my manager gave me his personal number and everything, and it was like, reach out to me, call me, text me, like if you have anything, send me an iMessage, send me a 8-ball request, like, he was like, text me whenever, like with any questions. So at least I was fortunate enough to have a manager who was personable like that to keep in contact after the internship ended.
Yeah, my manager kind of was like that too. He sends me his kombucha recipes sometimes. So like, it was really nice that he was so personable. Although I didn't get a return offer, I also kind of realized through my internship that I didn't enjoy what I was doing or where I was working. I was working at a medical company, and anybody that knows me knows I don't like medicine whatsoever. So it's kind of like, it kind of like opened my eyes to saying like, oh, I don't think this is the path for you. So it was kind of like a good was a good learner. But my manager definitely told me that if I ever want to come back, that I should just reach out to him and he can see if like there's positions available. He told me he did that to someone else that used to work there 10 years ago. And she just recently reached out and was like, hey, do you have any positions available? And he was like, yeah, we do. So it's good to keep in touch with your manager just in case down the line you might need his help or her help or whoever's help.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say much because I personally didn't do too great of a job with this, but it is nice to just keep a good relationship with the people you interned with, because again, that's what internships are. They're extended interviews, right? They want you almost, 9 times out of 10, they want you for full time. They want you to be an employee once you're done with school. So definitely keep a positive relationship.
And I'll open the floor to one more question, and I have another question to ask in the back. Yeah, the for online question was, how did you prepare for your internship? Did your company give you resources before, like, did your day one? Like, how did you go from, I guess, school to like working?
So I didn't get anything day zero, unfortunately, but day one, when I got there, they actually, I was working on a team, and that team had a introductory task, which is kind of cool. So rather than having you learn about and just, like search the documentation to learn about the project and everything, they actually had you make something, right? Do a project within the project. And throughout it, you just kind of got familiar with the database, familiar with the code, and kind of learned the process. And so I thought that was a really cool way of getting someone familiar.
Unfortunately, with mine, they didn't give me any kind of like book to learn or any type of help whatsoever, which kind of sucked because I had to learn everything from scratch. For instance, we used the Microsoft SQL database, and one of my projects that he just kind of like gave me was like, oh, you're gonna have to open up the Microsoft, and then you're gonna have to create like a pipeline from Visual Studio to Microsoft SQL, and then doing that you have to make some. I was like, huh? And he was like, oh, if you need help, I got you. And I was like, okay. And I tried to ask him for help, but he was doing C, and I was like, oh my god. But he kind of gave me like a little bit of help. He gave me like the Azure AI code, and he was like, with this code, kind of like tweak it and then implement it in your way and see if you can learn from it. So that was also kind of cool, like a hands-on experience, but also it's kind of like I kind of wanted to also learn in a way, like with him teaching me like what the database was about. But yeah, mine was kind of like just go for it. So
Yeah, so for the company that I worked at, we had a wiki that kind of had all of the everything that I guess each team has uploaded for their team. So it was kind of dependent on the people in the team actually uploading proper updated pages, I guess, with the information. But that's where a lot of information on like repositories or how to set things up or whatever. So they did have that for me. But I also had a sort of similar experience where there was a couple of times where my manager would just be like, all right, you're going to do this. There's YouTube videos you could find, I bet you, like, and that was about it. So there definitely were, there were pages to help us set up, but a lot of it, technically wise, there, it was kind of on our own a little bit.
So for my internship, the first couple of weeks, they had like the whole red team cell, like research things relevant to the projects. And then once we got like on board to the projects and approved for them, because it's contract work, so you need security clearances, you need like a bunch of processing and everything. So once we got on the projects, we got to kind of like pick and choose like which one would most interested us. And then like something called Confluence where they have like all of their stuff. We got to like go through the files and read it. And I remember like the full-timer I was working under, like I would send him like 5 emails a day with like long paragraph questions. And like, honestly, bless his heart. Like he like actually like sent back like long ass paragraph questions. And I was like, whoa, like if you show passion, like they'll be just as passionate with you, So that communication is super important, especially to learn. And then like kind of doing self-research, because you don't want to be like, oh, like, how do you do this? Kind of like, unless you're asking a really specific question, like, you're not going to get the best answer. You know, like, it's kind of like if you're a tutor and someone's like, I don't understand this. And you're like, okay, what do you not understand? They're like, the whole thing. It's like, I don't know how to answer that, you know? So try your best to do a little bit of research on your own if you're going to ask someone at your internship, and then ask them really specific questions. And I promise you, like, you'll get better answers.
So for the first couple of weeks, the Cyber Futures internship was very forgiving in terms of information. Like, I think the first day that we were starting, we were learning the introduction to networking, so like routers, switches, and stuff like that. And then we started learning about the intro to TCP, ICP, IP frameworks, and then we started going into the more deeper stuff of basics of Linux, basics of PowerShell. There's two cool websites, Over the Wire and Under the Wire. Both of them help you in practicing both of the terminal languages. I don't know if that's what they're called. Okay, yeah. So those are cool resources that they started us up with. Then they went into adversary emulation, threat hunting, and from there it's just like, okay, we're giving you this information. Are you going to use it? So yeah, just look up basic information, and whatever websites you're given from outside entities, just like try to utilize them as much as possible.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So I guess the last question I have for like myself from the one I pre-prepared. What was kind of a challenge that you faced in your internship that kind of sticks out to you now? And what did you do to kind of overcome it if you overcame it? Whoever wants to answer can answer it. I will say we have 13 minutes left in the panel. So keep it relatively quick.
Okay. I have something. So rather than use like SQL or something like a regular database, we use an in-house database. And I guess to spare the details, we have 13 minutes. But I found some problems within that database. And so what I did was I kind of talked to my mentor, and I talked to, with him, I talked to someone else that was involved in making that database. And I got to troubleshoot the back end and kind of figure out what I can do in my part of the code to kind of compensate for some existing issues within the back end that were, still not, we're set to be fixed, but still make it, just by modifying my code, make it workable and make it function the same way until it's fixed, right? But it's a lot of just communication, talking to, working with your teammates, your coworkers to fix your solutions, or to fix your problem and find a solution.
One of my biggest problems was understanding the database. Since I didn't come with any kind of medical background, it was kind of very hard for me to understand what they were talking about. Like, one of my projects involved diabetes and like the medicine or medication that they use. And it was kind of hard for me to find out where exactly the data was for like the diabetes patients. So I kind of had to talk to my manager, and then we created like a meeting, and he sat me down and basically did like a database 101 on the Microsoft SQL Server, and it was kind of helpful. But also, like, for the next project, I also had to do the exact same thing, because repetition is key. If you don't do it multiple times, you're not going to understand it. Even to the last project I had, I still had to ask him the exact same question. So as long as you ask questions and you're willing to learn, you definitely be fine.
Yeah, so I feel like the biggest issue I had with Best Buy was, or just with my internship, I guess, is just that there was an interesting communication issue, I guess. More so, I would say, just because my team was still kind of developing, it was still new. So everybody was still figuring out their own roles. So when I had questions, there wasn't always an answer for me from one person. And so I had to kind of, do a little runaround or something. And at some point it got really frustrating that the communication was just not there, I guess. And the way that I dealt with that was I just had to be the communicator. I had to, if there's obviously two sides to communicating. So I just had to make sure that I was okay with saying what I needed to say, not be scared to say it, and just go ahead and send the messages or say whatever, and just not be scared to say things, I guess.
I think the biggest challenge for me in contract work was that, like, when you do contract work, the person who's contracting you to do the work often doesn't know what they want. So it's like your job to tell them what they want. And I don't know if I can actually say this. It's like the 3 G's of contracting that I learned, which was like girl boss, gaslight, and oh man, I forgot what the last thing is. Gatekeep. Yeah, I mean, people know it. Yeah, okay, great. Awesome. So you kind of just have to keep those in mind, and then you have to structure your technical, like your wording, like you want this. If you don't have this, like your company's gonna fail. Like this is a vulnerability. Like you need to train your people on this. So as long as like that, like finding that language and like getting comfortable with that was like the main challenge. But like I had team members to like help me out. But yeah, contract work is truly tricky.
So for my challenge, it was like this was during the last week, but 2 days before we were going to present it to the whole company and all the interns, it was the slides, and we were basically presenting our paper to our sponsor, and I was like, this ransomware is going to be the most impactful thing that's going to affect this situation. He's like, yeah, but that's kind of broad, right? And then like, because like I came to that conclusion after a lot of thought, and I was just like, oh no, because like that's our paper. And I was like, oh no. So then after the meeting, I was just like, oh, I was thinking like, oh, what should I do? And like, I was kind of like the group lead that was like leading everyone into it. So I was like, okay, what we need to do, we need to immediately contact our supervisor, ask him what to do, and like we need to restructure the slides as soon as possible. So we went through like an hour-long meeting, and then for like the next 2 days, we just had to restructure the entire slides, focus on the paper for like the last 2 days of the internship, and we managed to get a reasonable product out. So yeah, it was reliving that moment. Communication, very important. You want to make sure that you have good relations with your supervisor, making sure that you are clear-minded even in the sourest moments, and you want to make sure that you're doing your job. It's business.
All right, so I think we have time for one more question from the audience. If anyone has any other questions, you can just raise your hand. Do you have to go, right? All right, we can round of applause for Safamti. Yes. But if there's no other questions, thank you all. Oh, I see a question back. Talk about the interview process for yours. We have 6 minutes, so I'd keep it quick.
Okay, so mine was a little different because it was in defense industry, but all it was is a single interview and then the offer. I'll say usually you're going to get technical from industry, but for defense labs, a lot of times they won't have technical, and that's when you need to kind of boast be able to put your technical prowess like in there, be able to talk about your technical stuff, so that way they know without having to give you a technical interview that you understand the stuff.
I also didn't have a technical interview. It was more like, as I said, like your projects, what you did, what languages you learned, what you can exactly do. So that was kind of like my interview process, and then it was the offer letter. So I think it was 2. One of them was to find out what I can do. The other one was to find out what projects I did, and then it was the offer letter.
So I had, I guess they called it a technical interview, but compared to other technical interviews that I've done, I would say it was pretty minimal. So the interviewing was just 2 interviews. There was a behavioral, which is why I was saying earlier that like personality is so big, because I won my recruiter over in that phone call, let me tell you. But then the technical interview was just me with actually my manager, but they just told me it was 2 engineers, and they asked me some questions about the languages I knew and object-oriented principles, and that's about it.
So I kind of had I had 2 for the internship interviews, and then one that helped me, well, probably behind the scenes helped me. Through the career fair, I did an interview with one of the employees, and they basically said, okay, yeah, we'll recommend you to whatever position you're going to be applying for. And then when I did apply for the job, the first interview was a phone call, and it was basically like, okay, so this is the internship. What track are you interested in? What kind of location do you want to go to? Mine was in DC. And then what kind of projects you did, what obstacles did you overcome, stuff like that. How are you interested in cybersecurity? I showed my enthusiasm through there. And I was getting a second Zoom call back. And from there, we actually went more in depth and like, okay, we're going to start solidifying your internship. This is how it's going to happen. Are you okay with this? Yeah, yeah. And that's how the internship process went for interviews.
Thank you all so much for. You have one thing? Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to iterate that don't be scared to talk about your hobbies during interview processes. Like I know I talked about like, oh, I like photography, and we kind of clicked on that. And my manager kind of loved me for that because we both like kombucha, we both like photography. And like even when I was still working, he kind of still asked me questions. He even brought me kombucha one time. So like as long as you're personable, I kind of like iterate that. But honestly, be personable, fake it till you make it, and you'll be fine.
Yes, that concludes the panel. Thank the panelists so much. Round of applause. Definitely very insightful. Again, be sure to check in for the event. Counts towards ACM credit as well. If you want to go to the Taste of Success, Parker's going to probably be on his way over there right now. But yes, thank you everyone for coming out.